The heavy wooden door smashed open against the stone wall, sending a cloud of dust into the freezing night air. "Get out!" screamed the voice that sounded like grinding rocks. "I don't care about your sick mother. I don't care about the snow. If you don't have my coins, you sleep with the rats." Lightning flashed, illuminating the terrified face of 11-year-old Elias. He stood in the mud, shielding his shivering mother, Sarah, with his small, fragile body. Looming over them was Lord Marcus, the wealthiest and cruelest landowner in the valley. Marcus wore a coat made of thick fur and rings of gold on every finger, while Elias wore nothing but rags. "Please, sir," Elias begged, tears mixing with the icy rain on his cheeks. "Just one more week. I will work in the mines. I will do anything. My mother will die out here." Marcus laughed, a cold, heartless sound. He kicked the small bundle of clothes Elias had packed into the mud. "Then let her die," Marcus spat. "The world has no space for the weak. This land is mine now." With a final shove, he slammed the door shut, locking them out into the dark, screaming storm. That sound, the locking of the door, would haunt Elias for the rest of his life. Elias dragged his mother to a small cave near the edge of the forest. It was damp and smelled of old leaves, but it was out of the wind. "Mama, stay awake," Elias whispered, rubbing her freezing hands. Sarah looked at her son with eyes full of sorrow. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small, rusty iron key. "Elias," she wheezed, "this key, it belongs to our old family chest. We lost the chest years ago when your father died, but keep the key. It is a promise that one day doors will open for you, even if they are closed now." She coughed violently. "Do not hate Marcus, my son. Hate is a fire that burns the one who carries it. Be like water. Water finds a way around the rock." By morning, Sarah was gone. Elias buried her under the old oak tree, marking the grave with a simple stone. He stood there, a lone child in a massive world, with nothing but a rusty key and a heart broken into 1,000 pieces. He turned to look at Lord Marcus's mansion on the hill, smoke rising comfortably from its chimneys. Elias wiped his tears. He didn't scream. He didn't curse. He just started walking. He walked away from the village, away from the cruelty, vowing to survive.
10 years had passed since that fateful night. Elias was no longer a child. He was a tall, strong young man working in the busy port city of Oak Haven. He carried heavy crates for merchants, his muscles hardened by labor, his face serious and calm. He had saved every copper coin he earned, living on bread and water, sleeping in the stables. One bustling afternoon, while carrying a heavy load of spices, he saw a velvet pouch fall from the saddle of a passing nobleman's horse. The nobleman rode away, disappearing into the crowd. Elias picked up the pouch. It was heavy. He opened it in a dark alley. Inside, glittering in the shadows, were 50 large diamonds. It was a fortune, enough to buy a mansion, enough to buy revenge. For a moment, the memory of Lord Marcus laughing in the rain flooded his mind. With this money, he could return and destroy Marcus. He could buy the whole village. But then he felt the rusty key in his pocket. "Be like water," his mother had said, "clear and pure. Elias closed the pouch. He ran for blocks, sweat pouring down his face until he caught up with the nobleman's horse. "Sir!" Elias shouted, breathless. "You dropped this!" The nobleman, a powerful duke named Alistair, looked at the pouch and then at the ragged young porter. He checked the diamonds. Not one was missing. "Boy," the duke said, his eyes wide with disbelief, "do you know what you held in your hand? You could have vanished and lived like a king. Why did you return it?" Elias stood straight, his chin high. "I am poor, sir, but I am not a thief. My mother left me nothing but my honor. I will not sell it for stones." The duke smiled, a genuine, warm smile. "Then you shall have more than stones. I have been looking for an honest man to manage my trade routes. Today, you stop carrying crates. Today, you start carrying my trust." Years flowed like a river, and the landscape of fate shifted. Under Duke Alistair's mentorship, Elias proved to be a genius of trade. He didn't just hoard wealth, he built. He built schools, he built hospitals, he built shelters for the winter. He became the most respected merchant in the kingdom, known simply as the man with the iron key. He never married, dedicating his life to serving the people. Meanwhile, far away in the valley, Lord Marcus's life was crumbling. His greed had been his undoing. He had gambled his fortune on risky mines that collapsed. He had taxed his villagers until they fled. His mansion, once a symbol of power, was now decaying. The roof leaked, the servants had left, and his friends had abandoned him when the wine ran dry. One winter, a terrible fire broke out in the village, consuming what little Marcus had left. He stood in the snow, old, fat, and alone, watching his empire turn to ash. He had nothing, no money, no family, no home. Desperate and starving, he heard rumors of a great philanthropist in the city who never turned a beggar away. Swallowing his pride, which tasted like bitter poison, Marcus began the long, painful walk to the city. It was a cold evening, much like the one 30 years ago. A long line of the poor and needy stood outside the grand gates of Elias's estate. Servants were handing out hot soup and warm blankets. At the back of the line stood a hunched, trembling old man in filthy rags. It was Marcus. He was unrecognizable, his face hidden by a hood, his hands shaking from palsy. When it was his turn, he fell to his knees. "Please, master," Marcus croaked, his voice weak. "I have not eaten in 3 days. I once was a lord. Now I am nothing."
Elias, now a man of 40, with silver streaking his hair, stood on the porch. He froze. He knew that voice. It was the voice that had haunted his nightmares. He stepped down, the snow crunching under his fine leather boots. He signaled the guards to step back. He walked up to the beggar and pulled back the hood. Marcus looked up, terrified, seeing a powerful, wealthy man looking down at him. Marcus didn't recognize Elias. He only saw power. "Please, don't hurt me," Marcus whimpered. Elias stared at the man who had killed his childhood. He had the power to crush him. He could order the guards to throw him into the dungeon. He could lock the gate and leave him in the storm. The anger rose in his chest like a volcano. But then he touched the rusty key in his pocket. He remembered his mother's grave. He remembered the Duke's kindness. Elias took off his own warm, fur-lined coat and placed it around Marcus's shaking shoulders. Marcus gasped. Elias knelt down in the snow, right in front of him. "Do you know who I am?" Elias asked softly. Marcus shook his head, tears freezing on his dirty beard. 30 years ago, Elias said, his voice trembling with emotion, you threw a boy and his dying mother out into a blizzard. You told them the world has no space for the weak. Marcus's eyes went wide. The color drained from his face. He tried to scramble back, expecting a blow. "Elias," he whispered in horror. You are the boy?" Marcus covered his face, sobbing. "Kill me! Just kill me! I deserve it! I am a monster!" "No," Elias said firmly, pulling Marcus's hands away from his face. "If I kill you, I become you. My mother told me that doors would open for me, and they have. Now I open this door for you." Elias stood up and offered his hand to the old man. "You will not sleep with the rats tonight, Marcus. You will eat at my table. You will sleep in a warm bed. And every day you will see the face of the boy you tried to destroy, and you will learn that mercy is stronger than gold." Marcus collapsed at Elias's feet, kissing his boots, weeping uncontrollably, his arrogance washed away by the crushing weight of kindness. Elias lifted him up and led him inside. The heavy wooden doors closed, not with a bang, but with a gentle click, shutting out the cold forever. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon. Remember, the seeds you plant today, you will harvest tomorrow. Be kind, always.